on behalf of Udaipur Chamber of Commerce and Industry. For any organization, rewarding its people is incredibly important. The award ceremonies are a celebration of talent, hard work, success, and achievement. Overwhelming elation sweeps us when we have gathered to acknowledge the best-in-class performance of Udaipur region through the Excellence Awards that are to be given out today. These are the people who run their business with a strong sense of ethics and integrity. Also, we will be celebrating the 58th Foundation Day of UCCI, which was founded on 12th February 1965 and is the multi-district apex body of trade, industry, mining, tourism and education of southern Rajasthan. Today, we are indeed honored to have two inspiring personalities as our chief guest and guest of honor. I first request Shri B.H. Bafna, patron UCCI, to please present the floral greetings to our chief guest, the very famous journalist Padma Bhushan Shri Shekhar Gupta, founder and the editor-in-chief of the print. We extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. We are grateful to you for your kind gesture of consenting to be our guest today. Now I request Shri B.S. Babil, Chairman, Excellence Award Subcommittee, to please accord a ceremonial welcome to our guest of honor, Shri Salil Singhal, Chairman Emeritus, PI Industries, as a token of our delight and respect for having him as a significant part of this event. Thank you so much, sir. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. So to begin with, I would like to request Shri Sanjay Singhal, President UCCI, to please deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Namaskar. It is indeed a pleasure to be standing here on this podium celebrating our 58th Foundation Day and having an opportunity to welcome amongst us the well-known personality that is Mr. Shekhar Gupta. His journalistic achievements are very, very well known. He's one of those few upright, intellectually honest journalists that have operated for many, many years, continuing a tradition which was probably started by his mentor, Shri, if I'm not wrong, Shekhar. And there are very few such people who have A, the intellectual capacity to understand a complicated situation, and B, to present it honestly to their readers or listeners, whatever they may be. So today he will be with us with his keynote address. I also welcome all past presidents, our patron, all our office bearers, members of the executive committee, members of the Standing Committee on Excellence Awards to this function, and all the applicants and awardees and finalists who are present with us today. As Sakshi in her introduction said, this is our 58th Foundation Day, and it is also the day where for the last 6 or 7 years we are celebrating excellence within industries and service companies of southern Rajasthan. For me, I started this journey only 7 months ago when I took over the presidency of UCCI, and all I can do is really start by thanking all my predecessors for having set all the past presidents who have led this organization from 10 members at its start to about 570 today, from not even an office to this enviable infrastructure that we have for UCCI. But UCCI is not just what you see here in this building. One of the biggest things that UCCI does is it runs a statewide hazardous waste management facility. As an industry chamber, its job is to help all its members, and disposal of hazardous waste is a difficult job. So all over Rajasthan, there is just the one facility which is approved by the pollution control authorities, and UCCI runs that. The other important piece of infrastructure that we have is the Vocational Training Center, which has been funded by the Pyrotech's foundation. And again, that's a great opportunity to train people and make them available for employment in Udaipur. What we have been doing in the last couple of years is taking that infrastructure and strengthening it, taking the issues that have arisen for no fault of ours on the hazardous waste management facility, where there is an intergovernmental dispute. We've just become a sad story and ease of doing business, but that's what life is. We've been improving the IT infrastructure. So what you're probably experiencing for the first time is the new audiovisual system in this chamber and in the Pyrotech Tempsens hall and in our boardroom. The boardroom is now fully equipped for video conferencing anywhere for about 15 to 20 people, and all the other rooms now have equipment to facilitate everything that those rooms are meant for. But the most important project, which is running a little late, about five months late, is the development of our IT systems and our new website. And the goal there is to get all members to interact with the chamber, bring in their issues to us through our website. And a strong workflow system has been built where individual responsibilities of the UCCI team have been settled, and those issues can then be handled rapidly. We expect to launch that website sometime in March, although I'm now being advised that because of financial year end, it may be better to do it on the 1st of April because all the financial reporting will happen there as well. So all of this is meant to reinforce this infrastructure. Sorry, I forgot to mention, we've also now built a very strong team. We have within UCCI the ability to assist micro and small industries one-to-one on issues they may have with government departments. We made a couple of very important appointments, and we are shortly going to be making a third appointment in Jaipur for a permanent liaison representative, so that our work in Jaipur, because a lot of things just get delayed at that end, so that our work there can get done properly. A few months ago, I did a very simple model, and I've shared it with many of you. And that model showed that if only a small proportion, say 10%, of micro businesses became small businesses became medium, and medium businesses became large, Udaipur achieves a GDP growth of nearly 20%. And if we can achieve that, employment in Udaipur over a period of 5 years doubles. So whatever we employ today, it will become 2x in 5 years. The government of Rajasthan is driving its policies towards getting new investment, which needs new investment by the government, new industrial land, new infrastructure, road, rail. My focus with the government, and I have said this to the Secretary of Industries, to the Chief Secretary, is why not focus on the real ease of doing business issues that our micro and small enterprises face. Make things easier for them, because their growth will deliver to the region far more with far less investment. So let us hope we get heard. And that thesis alone, that model alone, is my focus and the focus of UCCI today, is how do we help our small, micro, medium, and large industries make that journey from small to medium and micro to large. Within that framework, we've set out a few initiatives this year. So we started with one initiative which we call Learn from Experts, And within Learn from Experts, we've had mundane sessions such as Understand Your Electricity Bill, through to environmental management practices, the circular economy, wealth from waste, family in business, managing MSMEs in an uncertain environment, managing quality, financial literacy. So getting experts in and exposing our entrepreneurs and our membership to those ideas. The second initiative that we started was Learn from Each Other. Because sitting in this room are a large number of people who have made that journey from micro to small to medium to large. And we all have a lot of good experience to share. So bringing those people who made that journey together with those people who want to make that journey. So that's how we learn from each other. And we've had a couple of sessions which were very well attended and very well received. The struggle UCCI faces is engaging its membership and joining it with this one single mission. How do we become from micro to large? And we've been trying various things. Some of them have been very successful, others have not been very successful. But one of the most successful initiatives we've had this year has been what we call our factory dekhen, or seeing excellence at work. And what we managed to do is taken a group of people, 40, 50, 60 people, to those industrial units which have done something special in their own fields of work. And that has been a very, very popular program. And to me, that looks like the winning formula. So we're going to expand that fairly rapidly. As we were running all these initiatives all at the same time, one of the things that I heard, and this is very likely to be true, was called attendance fatigue. इतने सारे आप प्रोग्राम करते हो, फुर्सत नहीं मिलती हमको, वैसे भी तो हम हर हफ्ते तो नहीं आ सकते. So, and that's a logical thing because small and micro entrepreneurs are typically one-man shows. So, but nevertheless, we're trying to join as many people as possible. And one of the things I take pride in is that we've had more than 12 attendees in these very few sessions that we've been able to run. And that is a very nice number to have. But the more interesting thing is out of these 1,200, some 200 came to UCCI for the first time. And that for us is a matter of great pride, that we are now able to attract people because they think we're doing meaningful work. Obviously, government advocacy is an important element of what we do, helping government formulate policy, change policy where problems occur. And that, to a certain extent, is not very much in our hands, it is in the hands of the government. But our job is to make the case as succinctly, as properly as possible, and keep following it up. And it is for that reason that we think it will be very valuable to have somebody in Jaipur as a permanent member of our staff helping that work. One important initiative which I'm very happy to announce today is a partnership that we are developing with the Indian Institute of Management in April. We have an offer from them, and we want to pilot this with 5 or 10 micro, small and medium enterprises, where their students can come in with any business that needs help in any defined, clearly defined area, and they will dedicate their brain power, say, to develop a plan for managing your inventory better, or reducing your costs, or making a marketing pitch, whatever it is that the industry wants. I personally believe that if we can get this idea going properly, then at least the micro and small industries who really don't have the expertise in all areas of business. You know, the small entrepreneur has one area of expertise typically. They will find it extremely valuable. Coming to today, today is about celebrating excellence. And we run a process, and that process involves is open to all members of UCCI, but also to every other business in southern Rajasthan. We're very thankful to the sponsors who sponsor these various awards that we give out. So each application comes in within a sponsorship category, within an awards category. And of course, there can be only one winner. But in my view, it is not who wins today that is important. It is what happens after the event. So within a week or so, all applicants will receive from us a comparative data sheet on where your business was with respect to the best and with respect to the person who won the Excellence Award. So we've got 20-odd assessment categories where we can quantify where is your business, say in HR practices. This was the best, this was the winner, this is the way it was. Which is a clear indication of what are the gaps in your businesses to achieve excellence. And I think this year we'll try and take it one step forward, and we'll say we will have sessions on all those 20 criteria where people who want to achieve excellence, people who want to grow, can come and learn from those who've already done it. In other words, the Excellence Award winners. So that's good. And that is what will make this Excellence Awards a win for all, not just for a win for the winner. So with that, it is once again my pleasure to welcome all of you to this 58th Foundation Day ceremony and Excellence Awards. Shekharji, Singhal sir, and all of you here, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. Now I would like to request our guest of honor, a person who hardly needs an introduction, a man of distinct vision and a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, Shri Singhal, to kindly grace all of us with his words.
Our chief guest of today, Shekhar Gupta, my old friend, President UCCI Sanjay, our patron Bafnaji, Bhagwat Babel, Chairman of the Excellence Award Jury Committee, members of the UCCI, ladies and gentlemen. I stand here as I every year seem to be doing, and every time I come on to speak, I get a little embarrassed because I feel there are too many Singhals around on this platform of UCCI. But what I just heard and what I just saw, because Shekhar and I took a round of the development that is being, the physical addition to the assets of UCCI and several programs that have been undertaken, I think that is precisely the objectives which a chamber should be fulfilling. And I must congratulate the President and his team, executives, who are taking this chamber's responsibility in a direction which is where all chambers need to take. In my 40-50 years of business experience, I've been deeply involved in a lot of advocacy issues. And if I go back in my earlier years before the so-called economy opened, you could not concentrate on anything other than advocacy, because there were constantly problems. But things have changed. And things have changed not only in the context of policies and procedures, but the entire economy and the way businesses are done, the way competition, globalization, and the requirement of excellence has now taken center stage. And that's where the focus of all of you needs to come. unless we are competitive, unless we are top-notch in quality, unless we do businesses with integrity, the future will not be that bright and strong. Time has come that all of us must take this as a very important commitment to see that we aim for excellence. And as I saw and what Sanjay explained, I think that's the direction we are going in. And that is a great sense of happiness and sense of satisfaction, if I may say that. Shekhar is a master of any subject that you name, from geopolitics to the politicians, to economics, to sociology, psychology, and statistical database. He's an amazing man. So I'm going to leave this to him to talk to you all, and I dare say shoot at him pointed questions and ask him whatever you want to ask, and I bet you will enjoy the answers. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm very pleased to see so many old faces again, and I do get very emotional when I get all this love and affection from you all. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. The successful culmination of any event requires the interest of this special guest whose knowledge is as deeper as the ocean and the heart as broad as the infinite sky. It is a time to hail the ideas of our chief guest today. I now request Padma Bhushan Shri Shekhar Gupta ji to please address the audience.
Well, thank you very much, Salil, Sanjay, Mr. Bapna, Mr. Babel. Congratulations to all the award winners. This is a city of entrepreneurs. For a city, by the way, of a relatively small population, because in India even tehsil towns are now a million strong. And a city of great riches, going back hundreds of years or maybe a millennium plus, and great riches around it by way of mineral wealth and great talent most of all. You must have done something extraordinary to get these awards, because it must be very competitive. And congratulations to the jury. It must have been a tough job to pick the best, and I'm sure you've done it. It's my honor to be here. It's also a special honor to be in Udaipur. I've known Salil for quite some time now. And I think almost every year he's talked about Udaipur and Udaipur Chamber. And he's been telling me that one day you have to come here. So that day has come. So thank you for doing this, and I am grateful to be here. Now, what is it that you want to hear about? He said very flattering things. He said, I got scared. He said, I know geopolitics, to economics, to sociology. No journalist knows any of this. No journalist knows any of this. Some journalists may specialize in some domains. So they might be focusing on those domains better. So you might say, oh, so-and-so is an expert in this. But even then it doesn't work like that. Even when a journalist specializes in a domain. Because journalists are not economists, sociologists, oncologists, virologists. There was a time for about 2.5 years, all of us pretended to be virologists, right? But we did not become virologists. It started by first trying to learn the difference between virus and fungus and bacteria for most of us. I mean, forget, maybe in that area I was a little bit better placed, because my wasted degree, like that of most people of my generation, was in botany, zoology, chemistry. So finally, kahin kaam aa gayi. At least I knew the difference between fungus, bacteria, and virus. So we journalists have a special advantage. We don't have so many basic specialist skills. If you ask me 10 years back, maybe 15 years back, what is the difference between budget deficit and fiscal deficit? I would have struggled to tell you this. But what happened then? Why did I say 15 years? Because 15 years back, in 2008, the global financial crisis took place. And as the global financial crisis took place, suddenly that became the biggest story of the day. Lehman Brothers had gone down. All right, America ka bank hai chala gaya, kya hota hai? But then you figured, first of all, how globalized the financial system was. And also how political the financial system was, how politicized the financial system was. Countries that couldn't handle this well would have just gone down, their governments would have gone down. Governments would have suffered really badly. And then some of us began reading up, just checking out on what had happened in the East Asian currency crisis, almost 15 years before that, and the dot-com boom of 2000, 2001, and also the Latin American currency crisis. So these countries, the currency melted down, economies melted down, and the governments fell. Governments fell, in some cases, sort of revolutionary changes took place from extreme right to extreme right to extreme left and extreme left to extreme right. So we also learned that we think we are political dadas, but underlying politics is always economics. So what do we do as journalists? We start learning about it. I speak for myself. It's not as if I learned any basic and any economics, and I did not go to a refresher course. I've seen the halls you have to coach people, teach people. It's not possible to take time off and go and learn like this. The advantage we journalists have, and that places us in an extraordinary situation of advantage. That is that we always can find access to people who know better than us. So if I wanted to learn about what was happening with global financial crisis, I could go and meet Dr. Subbarao, who was the RBI governor, Dr. Reddy, who was the outgoing RBI governor, or Montek Singh Ahluwalia, or Dr. Rangarajan, Mr. Chidambaram, all these people who were managing the economy. And then you knew what to read. So you could read from international publications, also reach out to some people you might know internationally. So the advantage we have is we can reach out to people who always know better than us. That is what journalists are. Journalists access people, and people are generally open-minded, open-hearted, large-hearted with them and share information. And nothing signifies them better than what happened during COVID. As I told you, most of us couldn't tell a virus from a bacteria and a fungus, and even someone like me, who might be able to do that, did not know what a coronavirus is, and did not know how does a common cold virus differ from a flu virus, which differs from the coronavirus, and which might differ from an HIV virus or a smallpox virus. Why do some viruses mutate more? Why do some viruses mutate less? How come the discovery of one vaccine almost more than 200 years later, the smallpox vaccine? The story of the smallpox vaccine is a fascinating story. It is because the gentleman Jenner who discovered it, he saw that in his village in England, young women who used to milk cows, they were not catching smallpox. And then he started working backwards on why this was happening. And then he realized that most of these women were catching something from the cows that gave them a few marks like smallpox. But these went away, and then they didn't get smallpox. So there was no way of checking out viruses at that point. Microscopes were not good enough. But there must be something that the cows are giving these young women. That then further going backwards, human mind, you figure that cows used to have also this pox-like marks. It was a sickness, so that got named as cowpox. So okay, if you are exposed to cowpox, you are not exposed to smallpox. Smallpox was the biggest killer of mankind in the world at that point. So can you take out a little bit from these pock marks on these cows and inject into a human being? It looked like it worked, and that's how the whole idea of smallpox vaccine came up. But for 200 years, that basic vaccine, it's gone through improvements, but the basic vaccine is the same. You infect an animal with smallpox and take this out. Now it's a kill virus, it's not a live virus, and you inject. Just injecting that vaccine had finished smallpox worldwide by mid-70s. So anybody who is under the age of 50, I would say, or maybe under the age of 45, would not have those 2 or 3 marks that people of my generation have on our left arm, right? Because all of us had smallpox vaccines. Since 1975, 76, we haven't had to have any smallpox vaccines. In fact, so much so that this even features in Pathan, if you've seen the film, when somebody says कि ये चीज़ बनी है, रक्त बीज बनी है जो smallpox की तरह vaccine है, and Deepika Padukone is more knowledgeable than most people on virology, and she says smallpox का तो vaccine कब से निकल गया और smallpox तो eradicate हो गई, and then he says उसका हमने mutant बनाया है. उसका एक short answer है कि smallpox का वायरस ऐसा है कि उसका म्यूटेंट बनता नहीं आराम से, बनता होता तो अब तक बन गया होता. So these are things that we learned at that time, and once again top virologists in the country, even globally, top public health experts, they were all available to journalists. So it's not journalists as in me, I'm one of the tens of thousands, but also the best journalists in the US, in Britain, in Financial Times, Economist, New Yorker, New York Times, Washington Post, BBC, CNN, they all learned about this from real experts. So again, our real privilege is that we can reach out to experts and experts open up to journalists. So anything we talk about, anything I talk about, even politics, I wasn't born with any knowledge. College in India, at least until the time that we went to college, it's not that much better right now also, barring some specialized professional colleges. If it was better than that, then so many of our security guards would not be holding postgraduate degrees, even PhDs, right? Look at, I don't know how it is in this state, it can't be any better than say UP. UP, if they advertise for 5,000 peons, maybe a crore people apply, and you will have a smattering of PhDs and masters and etc., etc., etc. So the education, formal education prepares you of very little. The last thing it prepares you for is to understand national politics, because our curriculums, even our political science curriculums, teach you very little about contemporary politics. And what they teach you about past politics is doctored. It's doctored depending on who's in power today, and what curriculum they are writing for you. This is very true of history either. So what you do is you learn on the job. So anything that a journalist talks about is something that he or she or they, आजकल का proverb they होता है, he or she or they learn on the job, right? Having come to proverbs and wokeness so early in this talk, let me just make a point, which is not a point of criticism but an observation. Just look at this hall. In fact, I did a physical count in a hall of the most brilliant entrepreneurial people in Udaipur. I counted 12 women, right? So that is something that I think you might want to address going ahead, because say if I was in Bangalore, the the balance will not be even, but it will be much better, or as they say in America sometimes, in American politics, much less worse than this. So coming back, what is it that lies behind everything in our lives, particularly in democracies, but everywhere, even in North Korea, right? What lies behind everything in our lives is politics. How will we be born? Do our parents to be have the right to abort us as fetuses before we are born? What vaccines will we be given when we are born? What schools will we go to? What will we study in our schools, or your children or grandchildren study in their schools? What colleges will go to? What will the colleges teach? Can they go overseas to study? If they go overseas to study, can you legally fund their overseas studies? When they come back and when they finish their school and college, what kind of job will they get? How many jobs will be there? How will what they earn be taxed? All of this comes, and again, how will they retire? What will happen to pensions? See what's happening with pensions and politics in your state right now. Your state has set, if I may say so, and you can all disown me, your state has set the worst example for the country by going back to the old pension scheme. And now, see, nobody can stop. See, what Victor Hugo had said, nobody can stop an idea whose time has come. But in a political environment, which is all our environment, nobody can stop a bad idea whose time has come. So old pension scheme is a bad idea. And again, the rule of highly politicized situation is that once somebody brings in a bad idea, brings back a bad idea, the next guy will make it worse. Right? And the next guy will make it even worse, unless by that time it becomes completely unaffordable. So he's not able to pay. I suspect by the next guy, it will become unaffordable. And some corrections will have to be made. And then you will need leaders of great perspicacity, like we had a combination of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, followed by Manmohan Singh, who created the new pension scheme in 2003, 2004, UPA ran with it, and it's been like, I know that people around Dr. Manmohan Singh, he himself, people who understand this, they are disappointed that this is happening. But why is it happening? It's happening because of politics. So also what we learn about politics is purely from experience. It's purely from experience. It's from knowing politicians, getting to meet politicians, understanding politicians. And I can tell you something from my experience. You know, everybody likes to make fun of politicians. You see, it's TV channels, right? TV channels. Was there a clock here? I can time myself. No, I'm just checking. These TV channels would be nowhere but for politicians, right? I don't know who watches them anymore because everybody knows Sham ko kya aayega, right? But still, if there were no politicians, they'll have nothing to say or do. And yet, they are always mocking politicians. Mostly, they will not mock politicians of the ruling party, but they'll mock politicians as a class. So many of them will say, Neta log aise karte, Neta aa rahe hain. It's a generic term of abuse for politicians. The fact is the opposite. India's politicians, I mean maybe internationally also, but I know India's politicians. India's politicians are among the most talented, most hardworking, most self-effacing human beings, and they live in the most meritocratic environment. Because unlike an IAS officer, IPS officer, IRS officer, railway service officer, people who once they get selected, once they crack a very tough competition, then the life carries on after that until the age of 60, if not beyond. In fact, asked if the sub extension hi mil jata hai, and so many regulators jobs have opened up from Electricity Regulatory Commission to RERA to Information Commission, etc., etc. But in politics, you are tested at least, you have to pass a UPSC at least every 5 years, right? If not earlier. So before you finish celebrating a victory, you are beginning to worry about losing the next time. And in the old days, losing would not be so bad. You sat in the opposition, waited for your turn. But now losing can mean visits by the agencies, right? So now there's no such thing as a peaceful time after you've lost power. And that applies across the political spectrum. So these are important things that we need to understand when we say politics. And that's where, when we look at where India is right now, where India is headed, where India has been headed for the past, I would say 35 years. And the reason I say 35 years, it is actually, I could say 34, but 35 years, and I'll tell you why. 35 years, all that is determined by how India's politics has evolved. Why did I say 35 years? I could have said 32 years. Right? 32 years is when economic reform began. So in terms of our economic turnaround, 32 years is a good period. Because 32 years back, for about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, India was in about the same situation that Pakistan is in right now. That India had foreign exchange for just a few weeks of imports, which means India would have had to default on its foreign exchange payments. India had not gone bankrupt internally, but just the deficit of current account, foreign exchange payments, loan repayments were so much that India would have defaulted. And a country defaulting, a sovereign defaulting has disastrous effects because your bonds collapse, your credibility collapses, nobody takes your sovereign guarantee seriously, etc., etc. So India was in the same situation. But India had politicians at that time who got together and they said this will not be allowed to happen to India. Now all of us give credit to Narasimha Rao and Dr. Manmohan Singh, and that credit is due to them. So people from Pakistan have been calling me, Pakistani TV channel, saying, "Sir, आप 5 मिनट हमसे बात कर लो कम से कम, ये बता दीजिए कि इसी सिचुएशन में इंडिया ने कैसे संभाला था और हम क्यों नहीं संभाल पा रहे हैं।" तो उसके लिए मैं सबको बोलता हूँ कि मैं आपसे बात नहीं करूँगा, आप भी मुझसे बात नहीं करिए, क्योंकि आप में और हम में एक बड़ा फर्क ये है, आप बहुत तेज देश हैं, लेकिन आप में हम में ये फर्क है कि we are a real nation, you are not a real nation. Because a real nation believes in its own destiny. It looks within, it figures out what my problems are, it looks at what my opportunities are. Why do I call Pakistan not a real nation? I have traveled more in Pakistan as a journalist than any Indian journalist. Any Indian journalist. Between 1985 and 1993, in fact, for one period, I had an unlimited entry 5-year visa to Pakistan. Mr. Nawaz Sharif was Prime Minister. He said, my friend will come and go anytime he feels like, right? And they took a cabinet resolution to do it. Because I figured over time that it's a very talented country. It's a country filled with talented people. They got the best lands in North India. They got the rivers, they got the waters, they built these huge irrigation projects which were funded by World Bank, etc., etc., also partly by India as part of the Indus Waters Treaty arrangements. They had better per hectare yields than India until about 15 years ago. When I went to Pakistan for the first time in 1985 as a reporter, that is the first time I went to that country, my eyes popped out and I got a complex. Yes, everything was better. Everything was better at a quantum level from India. They had modern cars, they had modern hotels, they had modern telecommunication, most importantly. So to file a story those days, I don't know how many of you know, I mean, some of you would be familiar with telex machines, right? So we used to go to telegraph offices to file our stories on telex machines, and all of us had learned to operate telex machines. And we used to then have something called an International Telecom Authority card. So ITU, the International Telecom Union in Switzerland, it's a UN body. They used to issue these cards to journalists through their organizations. So you could use these cards to use telegram or telex from anywhere in the world back to your offices. And your company was billed at the end of the year through your country's telecom organization. So I went my first visit to the telecom post office, basically, with the telegraph office on the side in Lahore, and my eyes popped out because we had this terrible Hindustan teleprinters machines, manual, tack, 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 tack. They could bust your fingers. आजकल लोग BlackBerry thumb कहते हैं, हम लोग के fingers तो तभी bust हो गई थी. And the Pakistanis had these beautiful French Sagan machines, all electric, like that. Pakistanis have gone far ahead. Ordinary Pakistanis you met were better fed. You went to their homes, you knew that they were better off. Not just rich people, not just, there was a stereotype in India that Pakistan mein rich hai, very rich, गरीब ऐसे ही हैं. But there was nearly no starvation. There was absolutely no pavement dwellers. At that point in 85, a lot of Indians in the big cities were found on pavements. Nothing in Pakistan. Your taxi driver will take you home and feed you a nice meal, decent meal, as long as you were not vegetarian, right? So I came back. I was very young at that point, and I kept on reflecting कि ये लोग इतना आगे निकल गए और हम लोग इतना पीछे कैसे रह गए? That was the question. Then later, as I learned, I consulted people, I talked to people who were smarter and wiser. I understood that even the data supported what I had seen anecdotally in my many visits. Their highways were better, their airline was better, their airports were more efficient. Everything was better than India. Everything. क्या कहानी क्या है? So if you look at the data, you can go to the World Bank website now and look at GDPs, per capita GDPs. In 1985, Pakistan's per capita GDP was 65% higher than India's. 65%. So if the Indian per capita GDP was $600, Pakistan's was almost $1,000. And that showed in everything. That showed in everything. How come Pakistan has this trouble now? How come Pakistan is now desperately waiting for every new ship of grain to arrive from Ukraine and Russia to feed its people wheat, right? Why are people in Pakistan chasing after trucks carrying atta, wheat flour? Again, look at the data. The data will tell you that a country which had an advantage, a head start of 65% per capita GDP above India, is today 40% behind India on per capita GDP. How did this happen? Did India do this to them? India has focused on the economy and our economy has grown. But we did nothing to destroy Pakistan's economy. Why did Pakistan's economy get destroyed? Pakistan's economy got destroyed around time, say, when my eyes popped out looking at this big difference positive difference between Pakistan above, India below. And ordinary Pakistanis would tell you, आपके मुल्क में तो सर गुर्बत बहुत है, गुर्बत is extreme poverty. आपके इतनी गुर्बत क्यों है? आपके शहरों में लोग सड़कों पर क्यों सोए हुए हैं? आपके झोपड़पट्टी में लोग भूखे क्यों मर रहे हैं? वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. It was in 84, 85, say I would say beginning around 1982, 81, 82, that Pakistanis began to think that they had found a new leverage with the world. What happened at that time? In 1979, the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. As Soviets invaded Afghanistan, came the Americans to fight the Soviets because they thought that just as we were trapped in Vietnam, we can trap the Soviets in Afghanistan now. That was the peak of the Cold War. As the Americans came in, so did the Western world, Europeans, to help the Americans. But more importantly, because the fight was through the Mujahideen, who was Sunni, Islamic and Wahhabi, the Saudis came in. The Saudis came in. When came in, by that time, China-Soviet relations had also gone bad. So the Chinese also came in. So everybody combined to fight the Soviets to trap the bear in Afghanistan. None of that would have been possible without Pakistan's help. Because in any case, all the leaders of the Mujahideen had been living in Pakistan. They were brought up by Pakistan, they were trained by Pakistan, because the regime in Kabul was seen to be pro-Soviet and pro-India. So all these people, just as the Taliban were later trained, Pakistan was training them. And these were available. All access to Afghanistan was through Pakistan. Because Iran had already had the revolution, right? Iran wasn't available, that route wasn't available. So Pakistan realized that now there is rent to be had. And then they started collecting rent on this jihad. And they got even more heady that money came in. By 81, 82, Ziaul Haq, who was ruling Pakistan, he realized that the Soviets were losing. The Soviets were losing, and then he convinced himself that the approach that the allies against Soviets have used in Afghanistan, which is keeping your own soldiers out, no American, no Pakistani, no Saudi, no Chinese, no German, no French soldier got involved in Afghanistan. But finding the wherewithal to find locals who will fight. And with that, destroy the second biggest superpower in the world. In fact, the second superpower in the world, there were only two. And he thought this was going to succeed. And he thought, if this succeeds, and I am key to it, and I have the skills, and I am learning more skills, particularly my army and ISI, I can use the same tactics against India. So it is around 1981-82 that the idea of using terror as an instrument of state policy vis-a-vis India started. That is when, in my humble opinion, Pakistan's economic decline started. Because what happens? Once you create these forces of fundamentalism, once you raise these forces, they suck into your society. Your society gets divisive, so you have Shia-Sunni issues, you have issues with Ahmadiyas. It was around that time that Ahmadiyas were declared apostates, so they couldn't call themselves Muslims anymore in Pakistan. And then separate mosques, separate graveyards, all that stuff started. And also, this is when your talent starts leaving the country. Because modern, educated people, particularly those with knowledge of technology, science, medicine, they say that, look, if my country is going this way, what will be the opportunity? So flight of talent and the flight of capital takes place. So this is the in Pakistan's case, about 40 years that they've invested in building terrorism and militancy as an instrument of state policy to fight a never-ending war with India. But why have they done it? I started this because I wanted to explain to you, why do I tell my Pakistani friends in the Pakistani media that I don't think you are a nation anymore? Because although there was a time, if you Google my writings, you will find me disagreeing strongly with people who say that there is no nationalism in Pakistan, Pakistan will break up. I say no. Over time, a strong nationalism is built in Pakistan. And the fact is, a strong nationalism is built in Pakistan, but around the wrong idea. And the wrong idea is, we are a nation because we are not India. Right? And if India is prosperous and happy, and if Muslims in India are prospering and happy, then Pakistan doesn't need to exist. So it is that issue that has driven Pakistan's politics. It doesn't matter who gets elected. It doesn't matter which general takes over. So until they make that fundamental shift, that we are a nation of 23 crore people, among the largest nations in the world, sitting on a very important and very valuable geostrategic real estate, right? Look at Pakistan, where it's located. Pakistan's real strategic asset is its location. Unless we focus on ourselves and we stop defining ourselves as not being India, or constantly in terms of who's better, you will have no future. And until then, you will not be a real nation. Now, what I'm saying to you is not a digression. Because 85, 86, 87 was a very crucial period in India as well. 84, Rajiv Gandhi came in, Congress came back under Rajiv Gandhi with the highest majority anybody's ever won in India. That's 413 odd seats for his party. In fact, after that election, Rajiv Gandhi had said that for the opposition now, we have declared the 10 plus 2 plus 3 system. So 10 were Janata Party, 2 was BJP, and 3 was socialists, right? 10 plus 2, उस ज़माने में स्कूल में शुरू हुआ था 10 plus 2 plus system, school college में. So that's what he said. In 85, he did very interesting and important things and good things. His best year was 1985. And among the things he did, besides building Texas Instruments, allowing the import of computers, inviting the French president, holding that laser show, making people more aware of technology and how the world was changing. Most important thing he did was he tried to repair India's politics. And in fact, as we were driving, and I was telling my wife yesterday, listen, ये जो guest house है, inspection bungalow है आपका यहाँ पे, just before Lakshmi Vilas, that my first visit to Udaipur was to come to this inspection bungalow in 1985. And why did I come? I used to mostly cover troubles all over. So I was earlier in the Northeast, and now I was traveling often for India Today magazine to Punjab to look at troubles. I stayed in Amritsar during Operation Blue Star. So Sant Longowal, who was the president of the Akali Dal, he was detained here after Operation Blue Star. So this inspection bungalow was declared a central jail, and he was detained here. And one Sikh interlocutor from Delhi, who was working as interlocutor for Rajiv Gandhi, for behind the back channel talks with Sant Longowal, he said, मैंने कहा जी मेरी गल करा दो, get me meet him. So he said, अच्छा आप उदयपुर आ जाओ, मैं मिला दूंगा. और मिला भी नहीं सका, अगर हमें परमिशन नहीं मिली तो आप मुझे अपने नोटबुक के ऊपर लिख के क्वेश्चंस भेज देना हिंदी में, और मैं उनके आंसर्स गुरमुखी में संत जी की हैंडराइटिंग में लिख के ला दूंगा. So that's why I first came to Udaipur. And then there's a little elaborate backstory to it, that the only place to stay was Lakshmi Vilas, and I didn't have enough cash to pay the bill. And they said that their credit card machine was not working, so they would not. 1985 में credit cards का इतना fashion था नहीं, so that caused its own little crisis. And then when we finally storied, and I came to the airport, they said Bombay से flight आती है. Flight used to be Bombay, Udaipur, Delhi, I think. Or maybe Bombay, Jodhpur, Udaipur, Delhi. Yes. So that was like, those were like tourist flights. Right? So they touched all the tourist sectors. So that flight came late, and the airport manager who looked out and he said, "Andhera ho gaya. Now we can't take off because Udaipur did not have night landing." Anyway, so that beside, Rajiv Gandhi, sure enough, signed a peace accord or settlement with Sant Longowal. Right? He also signed peace accords in 1985 with the Mizo rebels, Laldenga, and with the Assamese movement also. After which fresh elections were held in Mizoram and Assam. Congress party lost power. These were great nationalist acts, because with that he finished two great challenges to India's integrity. The third failed because people in Punjab who did not want peace assassinated Sant Longowal within 2 months of the accord, and that was over, and that story carried on till 1993. 1985 also, 1985-6 is when he made his biggest mistake. And that mistake has defined India's politics until now and will continue to define India's politics. And that was the decision he took on the Shah Bano case. Because in the Shah Bano case, as many of you might be aware, a poor Muslim woman went to court asking for alimony, saying my husband has given me too little money. And I think this was alimony for 170 rupees or something. And obviously some activist lawyers got together with her and helped her go right up to Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court said alimony should be allowed. And the conservative Muslim elements then said this is wrong, this is an interference with our personal law. And the older people, Muslim leaders in the Congress party, plus Hindu leaders also who liked the vote bank, they said this will really upset the Muslims. So he actually carried out a constitutional amendment to set aside the Supreme Court judgment. That angered the Hindus. That angered the Hindus so much, and BJP may have been out of power. They may have had only 2 seats in that parliament, but BJP is the classical opposition party. They don't need numbers in parliament. They have street power, they have vocal power, they have the word of mouth, they have RSS workers who can make not just mountain out of a molehill, but mountain out of a nothing. But in this case, there was a molehill. There was more than a molehill. That look, Supreme Court of India gave an order for a poor Muslim woman, and Rajiv Gandhi amended the constitution using his majority to set that Supreme Court order aside. As Rajiv Gandhi figured that he had made a big mistake and Hindus were angry, and he began losing by-election after by-election, he panicked, and that led to his allowing the reopening of the lock at Ayodhya, at the temple mosque site. Until then, nobody knew anything about the temple mosque site. He then, out of a bad conscience and out of, see, when you make one mistake, it sets a spiral of mistakes. So he did that, right? He did that. उसके ऊपर क्या हुआ? सलमान रुश्दी की बुक आ गई. बुक किसी ने पढ़ी नहीं. India became among the first countries to ban the book. So again, it angered the Hindus even more, right? As it angered the Hindus even more, Rajiv Gandhi went and allowed Shilanyas at Ayodhya. Not only that, 1989 election campaign, Rajiv Gandhi launched his election campaign from Ayodhya with the promise of bringing Ram Rajya into India, right? If you ask me, 1985, 86, the Shah Bano case reversal, that's where the foundation of BJP's full majority, Narendra Modi's full majority was. So it was, that's the reason I begin my turning point of history in India from 1987. Because 87, these 2 mistakes were done. Shah Bano and the Shilanyas and the opening of the lock. And 87 Bofors happened. And 87 Rajiv sent IPKF to Sri Lanka, which went wrong. 87 exercise brass tacks took place, which was a near war situation with Pakistan. Then exercise checkerboard with China, etc., etc., etc. So India's politics began to change. And what started in 87, between 85 and 87, also created a period of, you might call it political uncertainty, I don't call it uncertainty, I call it the coalition era. So between 1989 to 2014, that is 25 years, India was ruled by coalitions. Initially these were coalitions with a very short half-life, right? The worst of these governments, I mean, all coalitions were not bad. In fact, I once wrote an article showing that India's growth rate has been higher under coalitions than under one-party governments. In fact, India's growth rate under coalitions is even higher than it's been under Mr. Modi over these 8 years. But this is something that I wrote about. And I wrote about this after Ajit Doval made a speech that India now needs a one-party government for 3 or 4 terms because coalition governments are bad for the economy. So I said, look at the data, it tells you something else. But among those governments, the really bad government was VP Singh's government. It is the only government in India's history that was weak on national security. Fortunately, it lasted only 10 months. Right? I used to also call them governments for daily wages. So there was VP Singh, there was Chandrasekhar, 4 months of real prime ministership. Then he went out, then he became caretaker. And then there was Godha and Gujral, etc., etc. Vajpayee's first government, just 13 days. Vajpayee's second government, 11 months. By that time, India grew the maturity of living with a coalition. So earlier on, in the 84-89 period, when Rajiv Gandhi was in power, and Rajiv Gandhi would say, how can a coalition run a country? Coalition governments will be unstable. So George Fernandez said in Parliament, if coalition governments can run in your mother-in-law's country, why can't they run in India? Italy's had coalitions for a very long time. Even now they have one. So India learned to live with coalitions. So Vajpayee ran a full coalition government, then UPA ran 2 coalition governments, and finally now we have a single party government. So India's political evolution went this way. India's economic reform started with coalition governments, with so-called unstable governments. And I will tell you, I will take you back, and this is, this encompasses politics, economics, leadership, everything. When India was in Pakistan kind of situation Pakistan is in today, Indian leadership decided that under no circumstances was this country going to default. Right? And if for that India has to ship its gold physically by aircraft to Switzerland, so be it. So India's gold was taken out by the aircraft. These planes flew India's gold to Switzerland so that to back up, so India can raise money, India will not default. Right? Who was the Prime Minister? Chandrasekhar. Chandrasekhar had 40 MPs. That was called the government of Ali Baba or Chalis Chor. Right? But government of 40 MPs. He didn't think about the fact that he was unstable. He didn't think that he didn't have the authority to be Prime Minister. How could he do such a thing? Shipping great Bharat Varsha's gold out, right? It takes a lot of guts to take that decision. If you think that was gutsy, see also perspicacity and an understanding of the future. We give Dr. Manmohan, we give P.V. Narasimha Rao the credit for making Manmohan Singh the Prime Minister. Where was Dr. Manmohan Singh, Finance Minister? Where was Dr. Manmohan Singh when he was made Finance Minister? No. When Chandrasekhar came to power, he realized that India's economic situation was very bad. And he realized that India's balance of payments was very bad. Because Rajiv Gandhi in his last 2 years had imported too much. So he reached out to the man called Manmohan Singh, who used to be a socialist left economist, head of the South Commission, but a man with great intellect. So he had Manmohan Singh appointed as chief advisor to Prime Minister on the economy, but he was given a position, a status to attend cabinet meetings. So under Chandrasekhar, Dr. Manmohan Singh had already started attending the cabinet meetings. So when he became finance minister, he was ready because he had all the data, he had all the plans. And who would tell you all this in detail, and how do I know all this in the detail? Yashwant Sinha would tell you all this in detail. Because Yashwant Sinha was Chandrasekhar's finance minister. Right? And Yashwant Sinha is a former IAS officer who Chandrasekhar talent hunted and made him finance minister, and he worked with Dr. Manmohan Singh. So when you look at all this, you know that your politicians are not all bad. Right? Your politicians are very smart people, and they are mostly very patriotic. And Chandrasekhar, who had many other problems with him, right, came 10 on 10 on this count. And I can give you more examples. 1990, January, the Gulf War started, the first Gulf War, when Iraq had gone, Saddam Hussein had gone and occupied Kuwait. And the Americans were leading Operation Desert Storm 1, right? A lot of the American aircraft were to fly from Diego Garcia, which is way down south in Indian Ocean. For them to reach in the Gulf, they had to refuel, right? And many of these are big aircraft which can't be refueled in mid-air, like say what we now have C-17s, but whatever the equivalent they had then. So they had to refuel someplace. They refueled in Mumbai, in India. Who gave them the permission? Who gave in 1990, when Cold War had just ended, American Air Force aircraft, military aircraft, the authority to refuel in India? It's Chandrasekhar who did that, lifelong socialist. And Congress was very upset with it. He was only in power because of the Congress. So, I can give you more incidents. Saifuddin Soz, the Kashmiri politician, read his book, and this is something that he said, he described in detail in a walk the talk interview with me also. Saifuddin Soz's daughter was kidnapped by militants in Kashmir. Now I remember one more Kashmiri leader whose daughter was kidnapped by militants in Kashmir. Mufti Saab. Right? Now Mufti Saab's daughter was kidnapped just as VP Singh government had come to power, and Mufti Saab was its home minister. Right? It took a lot of doing for her to get out, and to get her out, a lot of militants were released. Many of those militants gave India a lot of trouble in the following decades, led to the deaths of many Kashmiris and many soldiers, many innocent Kashmiris also. This was replayed within a year of that, in just about a year of that another senior Kashmiri politician's daughter was kidnapped. Chandrasekhar called Soz Saab. This is Soz Saab's story. He said, don't worry, I'll do something about it. Chandrasekhar got on the phone and called Nawaz Sharif. And he said, हम लोग आपस में लड़ते हैं, पर एक दूसरे के बच्चे पर हाथ नहीं डालते. तो ये सोच साहब की लड़की है. In 24 hours, she should reach home safe. And Nawaz Sharif made a commitment, and the fact is that he delivered on it. Right? She was back home in 24 hours, and that's something you can find the account from Soz Saab. So then you see how India progressed from there, and how India's neighborhood progressed. And again, they are contrasting stories. You can see where Pakistan has progressed, went down, but you can also see where China has progressed. China has done much better than India. Not because they have dictatorship, but they had much better thinking and much fewer of their earlier fixations. In India, we always had fixations. So anything new that any government tried to do, the others would not just oppose it because they were in the opposition, but because they genuinely thought this will cause a disaster. The Chinese did not have these confusions. So while we did open up, we were not able to get the same pace. At the same time, we gave ourselves the gift of stability in democratic politics. And that is what India's biggest strength is. So I know that we'll need some time for questions. So I will just, on the closing note, ask you to look at the history of the world, or geography of the world, after Second World War. Because all of the world's maps got redrawn after the Second World War. New nations came into being, old nations split, colonies became independent. So you see that end of the Second World War and decolonization, they've taken place internationally at the same time, in the same 2-3 years, say between 1945 and 1952, 53. A country like Egypt became free in 1952, big country like Egypt. So if you look at all of them, tell me how many of those countries that came into being as a result of decolonization and restructuring of the world after Second World War, how many of those countries which are diverse have stayed intact? Check. Soviet Union broke up in 11, and even now Ingushetia and Chechens and some others want to go away. Dagestan, they want to go away. But they have 11 republics already from Soviet Union. Yugoslavia, Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro, Kosovo, North Macedonia, all of these broke out of Yugoslavia, so many countries. Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, so many countries, right? Just see these countries, what happened. Look at all of Africa. All of Africa's map got redrawn. The Middle East's maps are still being redrawn to the extent that the British and the French drew these straight lines on the map. Tera boundary hai, teri boundary hai. No nationalism developed around these, right? That's how ISIS came in, saying that we'll create a country out of 5 of these, 10 of these countries, that will be the caliphate. And that's why you find Shias can't live with Sunnis, Wahhabis can't live with Alawites in Syria, for example. Nobody can live with Yazidis, and nobody likes Kurds, even though most Kurds are Muslims and Sunni. So, again in Asia, look around Asia, most countries broke up that were diverse, right? Not countries that were non-diverse. Even Pakistan broke up into 2. Only 2 countries in the world that were diverse and that came into being in their modern form in that period have stayed intact. One, I don't have any explanation for, but that's Tanzania. The other is India. But look at the level of diversity in India. And this is religion, caste, sects, within religions, within castes, tribes. I mean, 8% of India is tribal, which means India has now 11 to 12 crore tribals. That's not only more tribals than any country in the world, that's more tribals than any 10 countries in the world put together, right? And these are different tribes. The Nagas, who are just about 25 lakh people, are 29 tribes with their distinctive languages and cultures. So for this diversity, not just to stay together, but to become stronger decade upon decade upon decade. That is India's biggest achievement. That's also the biggest achievement of Indian constitution and Indian politics. And that's the greatest gift India has given itself, but also to the world. Because can you imagine what happens to the rest of the world if India went into the same chaos as, say, some of the countries in Africa are going through, Middle East are going through? So they are sending streams of refugees in the Western world. What if something like this happened in India? So what is the biggest tribute to Indian politics, Indian constitution, and I say Indian politics across party lines, is this acceptance of diversity. And that is India's biggest strength. And any country which has tried to fight diversity has lost out. I mean, Pakistan, why did Pakistan split? Why did the Bengalis go away? Because as Ayub Khan came to power, and West Pakistanis always had this issue that we are fewer in number than Bengalis, plus we are divided because there is Punjab, there is the frontier province, northwest frontier province, there is Sindh, there is Baluchistan. We have 5 provinces. Bengal is 1, so they'll vote as 1, so they will always have more seats. So Ayub Khan, when he became dictator, he announced a one-unit policy, that the entire country was one state. Right? See what India did on the other hand. You had trouble in the northeast, India created more states. So what? 5 lakh. When Mizoram became a state, they had a population of 5 lakhs. When Nagaland became a state, they had a population of 12 lakhs. Meghalaya became a state, they had a population of 14 lakhs. Because you wanted to use your democracy to give local elites, ethnic elites, small groups their own sense of power and authority. Pakistan did exactly the opposite. So the Bengalis broke away. That is something that India must not try to change. And if any effort is made again to put all of India into a homogenizer, ऐसे इसके बाद एक प्यूरी निकलेगी बाहर, उससे हम सारी करीज बनाएंगे, तो वो नहीं चलेगा. And that is why the biggest threat to India also will come. India's biggest strength is learning to live together peacefully in diversity, with its diversity. India's biggest threat also is getting complacent about its diversity and trying to homogenize what is so beautifully diverse. And that's why I always say I contributed a chapter to a book that McKinsey brought out. McKinsey brings out these volumes in each country occasionally. So they brought out one on Japan called Japan Briefing, then they had an India Briefing to which I contributed a chapter, and that concluded with a line which I will conclude with now. And I said, Nehru got a lot of things right, but he got some things wrong, but particularly one. He gave us the slogan unity in diversity. He should not have said it. He should have just said celebrate diversity. Because look around the world right now. The countries that celebrate diversity are the countries that prosper, the countries that rule. America is a good example, but I think India is the biggest example because nobody has diversity like this. In this hall, I can find, once you start talking about diversity, I can find 50 levels of diversity in this hall itself. So I think on that note I will conclude. If you have time, we can take some questions. I think I've taken too long already.
Sir, मैं जोशी तो हूँ नहीं,
but your religion is also.
नहीं मैं जोशी हूँ नहीं, मैं सिर्फ आपको ये बता सकता हूँ कि जो भी हो 2024 में, लेकिन जो लार्जर डायरेक्शन हमारे देश की है वो नहीं बदलेगी। लार्जर डायरेक्शन हमारे देश की, चाहे वो इकोनॉमी पे हो, चाहे फॉरेन पॉलिसी पे हो, वो नहीं बदलेगी। तो अब देखिए, आप सेंटर लेफ्ट से पॉलिटिकल राइट की सरकार में 8 साल हो गए। वो भी सरकार फिस्कल कंजर्वेटिव्स की थी, ये भी सरकार फिस्कल कंजर्वेटिव्स की है। किसी सरकार ने आपका डेफिसिट आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल नहीं जाने दिया। किसी सरकार ने आपका, हर सरकार, दोनों सरकारों के अंदर, तीनों सरकारों के अंदर, वाजपेयी, मनमोहन सिंह, मोदी, आपका फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स बढ़ते गए। तो इंडिया में बहुत कंसिस्टेंसी है। बाकी आपकी श्रद्धा की बात है, जो जिसको वोट देता है सोचता है वही जीते। बट हम लोग जर्नलिस्ट हैं, so our analysis should not be colored by our voting preferences. Everybody votes. Chief Justice of India votes. President of India votes. Chief Election Commissioner votes also.
Sir, I am Dr. Ashok. I would like to know.
And we can always speak from the benefit of hindsight, right? But it's not as if there was any shortage of Indian troops on the ground. There was no shortage of smart intelligence people looking at it. But there is always the other side. Like in a cricket match, hockey match, football match, there is always the other side. The other side is also doing something. Sometimes one scores a goal, sometimes the other scores a goal. So now to say that, now to keep repeating that same history, I think we should learn a little bit from Punjab. There was a mass migration of population from Punjab in about the same period as well. That was a very difficult period for India, not just in Kashmir. It was a very difficult period for India.
Hi, I'm Ravi Suri. I'm co-founder of Observe. I have a little different question. First of all, thank you so much for sharing a different phase of what is being known to us for Indian politics. So we all are mostly being entrepreneurs, and we have different stakeholders in our companies with their diverse beliefs and aspirations. So as you have shared the journey of Pakistan, journey of India, and you shared of various other countries which after World War II, they had their own journey. So how can we leverage any learning which you want to share with your vast experience that to build a better organization on, like, either celebrating diversity, or if you want to share something on that?
Well, I don't know. If I have anything to say on that, I can only say that you're building an organization, you have to be a good leader, and to be a good leader, you have to have a large heart. Nobody can be a big leader without having a big heart.
Mr. Shekhar Gupta, I'm Dr. S.C. Tiwari. I'm from not in agreement what you told is celebration of diversity in India that could make a better place to work. I think I have an experience of 15 years to live in China, from that corner to Dalian, New Mongol to the whole best part, Lanzhou and all that. I think OCOP is working well for that reason. Exempting Hong Kong, of course, that is the Anglo-Indian culture, and exempting Taiwan, that with Japanese influence and the religious country. So I think that is working in celebration in all corners of China in far, far better way. That in keeping the people with right patriotism. I am not politician as a scientist, but I think need addressing of this question.
नाम के लिए, पर 94% of China is Han Chinese, right? उसके अलावा जो थोड़े बहुत बचे हैं, उनको भी वहाँ बड़ी aggressive Sinicization process है. हर किसी का नाम चाइनीज नाम है. जो चाइना का जो सबसे कंट्रोवर्शियल फॉरेन अफेयर्स का स्पोक्समैन है, लिजियन झाओ, his name is Muhammad Hu. He is from the Hu minority, Muslim minority, but he's taken a Chinese name, Lijian Zhao. So in Tibet also they are forcing people to take Chinese names.
Other than Xinjiang?
No, Tibet also, everywhere. All minorities in China, there were very few minorities, they are all being Sinicized. Right? So they started with 94% Han Chinese with no caste, remember. Right? So even if you said we are 80% Hindus, I'll tell you this room is not representative of India's caste diversity. Forget religious diversity. So India is a very different place from China. China is China, and Chinese have had a very violent history in the past 60 years. Between 1959 and 1961, Mao killed at least 5 crore Chinese by plowing them into the ground. Between 1950 and 1965, China's population went down, even though they had a birth rate which was 8 babies per woman in her fertile years. India right now is 1.9 babies in her reproductive age, that is 18 to 49. In China at that point it was 8, and yet their population went down between 1958 and 1963. Why? Because of this madnesses of running these dictatorial governments where one man or somebody knows better. That was the era of the Great Leap Forward. And terrible, and आज उन सबके ऊपर फिल्में बन रही हैं उन बेवकूफियों के ऊपर. क्या बेवकूफी? माओ ने कहा कि हमारे पास 4 या 5 दुश्मन है. एक मक्खी है, एक मच्छर है, एक मक्खी, एक मच्छर, एक something, और एक चिड़िया, sparrow, because they eat our grains. So kill the sparrows. So millions of Chinese came out in the streets with drums and sticks killing the sparrows. And soon enough, because Mao had spoken, there were no sparrows left in China. Because there were no sparrows left in China, there was nobody to eat insects. Locusts, titi. China then had this insect attacks, China went into starvation. That's how crores of people died. And then the Chinese came to their senses, and then they said, now we need sparrows. So they went to Soviet Union. और कहा आपके पास स्पैरोज हैं? तो उसने कहा हमारा तो छोटा सा मुल्क है, बड़ा फैला हुआ मुल्क पे कोशिश करते हैं. Then they imported sparrows from the Soviet Union. Right? Once again, in late 60s, early 70s, China had the Cultural Revolution. Right? They drove out all their intellectuals, their scientists, anybody educated. Crores of people died again. Right? That is how America, the Western world, got so much Chinese talent. So the last thing we must do is to draw inspiration from China, or we should be willing to have a phase in our history where 5-7 crore people have to die within 2 years, and a phase in our history when almost all of us will be sent to labor camps for re-education. That means almost anybody who has modern education and who can add to the economy. That's what happened in China under the Gang of Four. That's why it's a tragedy कि हमारे नक्सलाइट लोग, हमारे लेफ्ट के लोग बंगाल में बोलते थे चाइना's chairman our chairman. यहाँ तो आदमी सुबह से शाम तक भूख हड़ताल नहीं करता. जब तमिल टाइगर्स के साथ लड़ाई हो रही थी जाफना में,
So Jayalalitha said, I will sit on fast unto death. She missed exactly 1 meal. Lunch miss kiya, sham ko ghar aa gayi. So to fantasize about China is a fantasy.
Sir, what do you think of Adani issue?
Wait a minute. Sir, we have to proceed for the next program, sir. Sir, okay.
Sir, what do you think on Adani issue? Is it attack on entrepreneur or it is something?
I wrote something on it last week, please read that.
Sir, good afternoon. This is Shweta Dubey. As we all are aware with the data and facts that country is heading with political stability as well as the economy. But what do you see after a decade or two? Will India have a coalition government?
Well, who knows after a decade or two? But I think politics always changes. Democracies see change. All I can tell you is the basic direction of India will not change.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shakshi, over to Shakshi.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really inspiring and thought-provoking. Moving forward, I would now like to request Shri V.S. Babel, Chairman, Excellence Awards Subcommittee, to please shed some light on the insights of the Excellence Awards.
Namaskar, ladies and gentlemen. Shake and stir. Your thoughts. I've been asked to brief you about the UCCI Excellence Award. हिंदी में बोले तो श्रेष्ठता, उत्कृष्टता, वर्गोत्तम. Being truly the best at something. You see excellence here on the dais. इन सभी ने अपना श्रेष्ठ दिया. और ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि औरों के श्रेष्ठ की रक्षा की. When you see excellence, you should appreciate work that went into achieving it. और इसी सोच के साथ UCCI instituted these Excellence Awards to recognize excellence within our business community and to build an environment where we learn, share and inspire each other for enduring growth by identifying and publicly recognizing the best amongst us. We hope to create role models that can be emulated by other entrepreneurs, thus improving the quality and quantity of business innovation. The awards, as Sanjay mentioned, are open to members and to everyone else in the southern Pakistan region. Recognizing the diversity in business and to ensure a fair competition, awards are in 3 broad categories of business size and 2 types of businesses. Given the broader social responsibility for business, there's an award for social enterprise and another for CSR work done by businesses. There's a further award for a micro manufacturing business. Each of the awards has been currently sponsored by one of our members. I must thank all of them. I can see a few of them in the audience here. So there are total 9 awards constituted. In manufacturing category, the Pyrotech Tempsens Award for large industries, ArcGate Award for medium industries, the Singhal Foundation Award for small industries, the Wonder Cement Award for micro industries. In service category, we have the Mewar Harmony Award for large businesses, the GR Agrawal Award for medium businesses, the Indra IVF Award for small businesses, and there is the PP Singhal Award for social enterprise, and the Vedanta Hindustan Zinc Award for CSR and Tyre. The entire process of applying is online, and it ensures total transparency and data privacy and security. As a first step, we invite applications and get some basic information about businesses. That's sanitized. And after elementary scrutiny and looking at the categories, applicants are asked to provide details about various facets, as Aditya mentioned, about their business. This includes details about their financials, management team, employees, innovation, HR, CSR, social impact, etc. Our independent auditor, Akash, help us collate and analyze the data. Webinix help us digitize and with our website. weightage is then given to different aspects of business in different categories, and a shortlist is prepared. This shortlist is reviewed and scrutinized by the standing committee, and the final shortlist listed businesses are then visited by a couple of members of the UCCI Executive Council or representatives for interviewing and verification. The jury, after these detailed scrutiny and debate, then selects the eventual winner. This year's jury comprised of Mr. B. Shri, ex-chairman of SBI, IDBI and SBPJ, Mr. Salahuddin Ahmed, former Chief Secretary, Government of Rajasthan, Professor Ashok Banerjee, Director IIM Udaipur, and Mr. Salil Bhandari, founder of BGJC and Associate, Eminent Chartered Accountant and Independent Director on several boards. We received extremely useful feedback from the jury for the process improvement this year. The awards committee has the overall responsibility for deciding the winners impartially with the jury's approval and on merit. The committee is governed by the UCCI rules of standing committees. We do provide feedback, as Hindustan mentioned, to the applicants on the relative benchmarks, and this year we'll do further. The UCCI Excellence Awards has been an interesting journey. It is the 7th year. इस यात्रा में UCCI के ऑफिस बेयरर्स, एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल एवं सेक्रेटरीट का बहुत अहम रोल रहा है. दिलीप बागला साहब पहली कमेटी के चेयरमैन थे और प्रोसेसेस सेट करने में उनका बहुत योगदान रहा. नंदिता सिंगल मैन रिफाइंड द प्रोसेसेस और इन अवार्ड्स के सोर्स पर काफ़ी मंथन हुआ था. द कमेटी दिस ईयर हैड अभिनंदन कारवा, श्वेता दुबे, कुणाल बागला, उमेश मनवानी, Pawan Talesra, Ruchika Godha, and the backbone of the committee, Manish Godha. I'd like to give her the special. We organized panel discussions with the past award winners and factory visits, as Hindustan mentioned, to share the winners' experience and best-in-class practices. President Sanjay Saab's guidance was invaluable this year. He's documented the process to help the future committees, and it's very comprehensive. I suggest those who are interested to read that. Vice President Ashok Kothari ji, Dilip Talesra ji, Secretary General Manish Galandia ji were extremely helpful in the entire process. CEO Kanwal Shaktabat, Asif ji and the Secretariat team ran the process very, very efficiently. I feel together let us work for nexus of good. Together, let us work for nexus of excellence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. And now the time has come to appreciate and acknowledge these consistent efforts of the shortlisted organizations through the Excellence Awards. Before we proceed further, I would like to request Shri Manish Godha, Co-Chairman, Excellence Awards Subcommittee, to please join us on stage. So we'll begin with the first category of awards, that is the Wonder Cement Manufacturing Award for Micro Enterprise. In this category,
it has 9 operational mining areas and their mines are fully mechanized with modern technologies.
many congratulations to you, very well deserved. Moving on to the next category of awards, that is Single Foundation Manufacturing Award for Small Enterprise. In this category, we received 16 applications and 3 got shortlisted. The nominations are Flipkop Polyweave Private Limited.
The company, which has a widespread consumer base across 18 countries, started with limited resources. They successfully navigated their early stages while keeping their values intact and fulfilling their obligations.
Quality Kambal Exports India.
The company is specialized in high quality, pure and beautiful products. As renowned marble and granite suppliers from India, they focus on delivering unique and durable products. They have become a globally recognized company with a market presence among architects and real estate developers.
Marathon Heater India Private Limited.
The company has become one of the most reliable manufacturers of industrial heating solutions. The company provides engineered heating solutions, being one of the largest solution providers for thermal engineering products.
I request all the nominees to please be here on stage.
Request all three nominees please be on the stage.
And the winner is
Marathon Heaters India Private Limited.
I request all the nominees, as your names are announced, please come up on stage. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next category of awards, that is the ArcGate Manufacturing Award for Medium Enterprise. In this category, we received 8 applications and 3 got shortlisted. The nominations are PIL Italica Lifestyle Limited.
For more than 3 decades, the company has tried to provide innovative, durable and superior quality products. It is the only company in India with CE-certified plastic furniture products, relying on 4 chief beliefs: durability, comfort, style and cost effectiveness.
Shah Polymers Limited.
They have been in this business for over 25 years and their journey has been governed by the principles of quality and customer service. In terms of the range of products they have made and the quality they have delivered, this company has made remarkable progress. Shah Polymers Limited is one of the leading manufacturers and exporters in India.
Tempsens Instruments Private Limited.
With over 40 years of experience, the company has become one of the most trusted and experienced companies. The company is offering engineering products in India and they are constantly adapting and updating their products and services to meet their ever-changing needs of their clients.
And the winner is
Tempsens Instruments India Private Limited.
Many congratulations to Tempsens Instruments Private Limited. These are the President Appreciation Certificates being presented to the remaining nominees. Moving on to the next category of awards, that is Pyrotech Tempsens Manufacturing Award for Large Enterprise. In this category, 9 applications were received and 3 got shortlisted. The nominations are RSWM Limited Unit, Rishabh.
For the past 62 years, RSWM has been producing superior quality yarns that are utilized by some of the world's most distinguished brands across 76 nations. They are committed to keep our environment clean and clean through their sustainable model.
Rama Phosphates Limited.
The company is one of the leading manufacturers of Singhal super phosphate fertilizer in India. It has been in existence for the last 38 years and one of its units at Pune has been in existence for the last 50 years.
Sudhiva Spinners Private Limited.
Company founded in 2007, Sudhiva is a globally renowned manufacturer and supplier of high-quality cotton yarn, blended yarn and knitted grey fabric. They have a long-standing reputation for excellence and their products are exported to numerous countries.
And the winner is?
Rama Phosphates Limited.
Many congratulations to Rama Phosphates Limited. And the President Appreciation Certificate goes to Sudhiva Spinners Private Limited and RSWM Limited Unit, Rishabh. Now to the next category of awards, that is Dr. Ajay Modia Indra IVF Service Award for Small Enterprise. In this category, 48 applications were received and 3 got shortlisted. The nominations are Shri Aviation LLP.
An Udaipur-based helicopter company with a vision to make it a well-renowned helicopter service provider in Rajasthan and promote heli-tourism in all tourist cities of Rajasthan and India.
Observe Online Services Private Limited.
For the past 6 years, Observe has specialized in the field of online marketing. The company comprises of a team of talented and knowledgeable professionals who are enthusiastic about innovative concepts and dedicated to making them a reality.
Badala Classes Private
Godha
Limited.
Classes is dedicated to fostering and nurturing the leaders of tomorrow who are capable of bringing change to society. They aim to get this success with the facilitation of their highly qualified faculty team by channelizing each student's effort and energies in the right direction.
The winner is Observe Online Services Private Limited.
Heartiest congratulations to Observe Online Services Private Limited. And the President Appreciation Certificates will be presented to Shri Aviation LLP and Badala Classes Private Limited. And now we shall move on to the next category of awards, that is G.R. Agarwal Service Award for Medium Enterprise. In this category, we have received 8 applications and 3 got shortlisted. The nominations are Mewar Education Private Limited,
Boulevard Education has built a strong 11-year foundation in diverse areas such as e-governance, utilities, information technology, e-commerce and financial inclusion. Their team of specialists strives to bring a positive impact to their clients' lives through their ongoing efforts.
Dynamic Team Security Services Private Limited.
The establishment of the company dates back to 1993, and over the years it has gained a reputation for being dependable and efficient. The company is dedicated to deliver top-notch security solution to its clients by embracing innovation, maintaining a commitment to excellence, providing training and adhering to global standards.
Labs Languages OPC Private Limited.
The company has over 5 years of experience localizing content for the world's top companies. A large pool of 1,200 professional localization experts who are able to work in 80 plus major global languages. Their 2 levels of quality assurance and advanced technology allow them to deliver the best localized content faster and easier.
The winner company is Boulevard Education Private Limited.
Many congratulations, Mewar Education Private Limited, for your achievement. And now the President Appreciation Awards will be presented to Dynamic Team Securities Private Limited and Lab Languages OPC Private Limited. I request all the winners to please be here till the last, as we'll be having a group photograph at the last. Moving on to the next category of awards, that is Harmony Mewar Service Award for Large Enterprise. In this category, 7 applications were received and 2 got shortlisted. The nominations are SK Khetan Projects Private Limited.
The company has positioned itself as a leader in the construction industry, delivering high-quality construction, building works, and civil projects. They made significant progress in terms of growth and development over the past 2 decades.
International Certification Services Private Limited.
It's an independent certification and inspection body that safeguards life, property, and environment. It has been providing its value-added certification and inspection services to the government, public, and private sector organizations involved in land, offshore, and marine activities. This is a professional organization backed by a devoted, highly qualified and experienced professional.
The winner company is International Certification Services Private Limited.
Congratulations to International Certification Services Private Limited. And the President Appreciation Certificate will be provided to SK Khetan Infra Projects Private Limited.
The company's CSR activities are focused on 3 main areas: environment, health and education, and community development. Through these initiatives, JK Tyre empowers local communities and gets them to the mainstream of development. They are making a positive impact on the communities in which it operates.
In this category, Aditya Cement Works and JK Tyre, they are the joint winners as decided by the jury.
Many congratulations to both the winners. Now I request Shri B.H. Bapna, patron UCCI, to please do the honors.
Respected guests, my friends, about 45 years ago, there were 3 friends working in an engineering company. It was in Ajmer, Toshniwal Instruments, I think. They decided that we have worked enough. Now, let's become the entrepreneur. And all 3 of them quit the company. There was a bond which they had to fulfill, and they did. They founded Pyrotech group. Those 3 people were joined by a 4th person who was younger brother of P.S. Talesra. The company is still thriving, expanding, and it has expanded many folds in last 45 years. All the original partners are still there, which I think is very difficult. In family also, we cannot remain together for that long. They have prospered and they have devised a system that everybody works independently and still together. That's a thing to be learned for all of us. So this year's award, Excellence Award, Lifetime Achievement Excellence Award, is bestowed on Shri P.S. Talesra.
Shri Talesra is the Managing Director and co-founder of Pyrotech Tempsens Workspace Group. Relying on his research prowess and inventive abilities, he set out on his business venture in 1976. Shri Talesra is an electrical engineer from BITS Pilani, a certified professional engineer with the institutions of engineering and professional institutions.
He is the chief patron of Jain Engineers Society. His association with UCCI has been long and strong. He served as its president for 2 terms and continues to be an active participant in its development.
I would like to add something else for P.S.
President UCCI to please present. Now, I request Mr. P.S. Talesra to please address the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Shekhar Gupta, Honorable Shri Sarir Mehta, our patron Shri B.H. Bapna, our past patron Shri Arvind Singhal, all past presidents of Udaipur Chamber of Commerce and Industries, vice presidents and executive members of Chamber, President of Udaipur Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Sanjay Singhal, Chairman of Selection Committee, Aved Saab, all my fellow industrialists, members of Chamber, ladies and gentlemen. I am grateful to the jury of past presidents who have bestowed me the prestigious award of Lifetime Achievement Award. It's really a proud moment for me. I am proud of Pyrotech Tempsens family, director and staff who have helped me throughout my industrial journey
in various ways. I'd like to thank Udaipur Chamber of Commerce and Industries as a whole family for their continual guidance and support given to me by providing various platforms to work. I take a short time of yours to share my experiences for young entrepreneurs and also my fellow industrialists. I think it might be of some help to you. I started my journey in Udaipur in 1976. It was difficult to start such industry of high tech in Udaipur, this being a very remote place and very distant from any industrial hub. We started with measurement of temperature and measurement of other industrial parameters. So we didn't have had any raw materials in Udaipur, neither our customers were situated in Udaipur. And over it, this was a very tribal area, having no infrastructure, no skilled manpower, no engineers, no finances, and the technology was very far, and market was also very far. But then our main task was to build something very unique for the industry and a critical mission of product were to be launched. So that was my main task that time. This was accomplished due to two major reasons. One was the trust among partners first. The second one, work in our own passion. So we started with 4 partners. All of them were technical partners. So that was a very good thing. And we had trust amongst ourselves to a very high extent. So without much money in pocket, we just contributed 5,000 rupees each that time. And with the 20,000 capital, we started Pyrotech group of industry. Our first product was thermocouple, and we used to manufacture 12 to 15 thermocouples per month. And now, today, as per today, we are making nearly 3,000 thermocouples per day. Then we went into other products of electronic process control, measurements and instrumentation, control panels, LED lights, and a host of other items. Then we also made control rooms, control room partition devices, ergonomics control room. So these were the later things. But this all came due to trust amongst ourselves. And this trust is still there, and now the partnership has changed to a family. So we are all one family. The second thing was we all worked in our passion. My passion was engineering. The other partner's passion was accounts, finance. The other was marketing. The other was R&D. So we worked in passion for about 12 to 14 hours per day. So we didn't get fatigued because it was our passion. Some gist of my business learning I would like to share with you. The first one is never fool a customer. Customer is always king. You have to never fool him. by fooling you can sell him your product for one time or two times, but once he comes to know that he has fooled me, then he'll never entertain you. Rather, you have to educate him and provide value addition to them in their products. So, how your product fits in their product, you have to evaluate to them and be honest to them. I'll give you a small example. A multinational PSU of India involved in manufacturing of power stations, power stations. So they asked me to get a particular control equipment from Germany. So I got that equipment. The original, what they were buying before me was about 4 crores per power station. But I bought that particular thing in some 90 lakhs, and I then sold that item in 1.1 crore. So instead of 4 crores, I sold that item in 1.1 crore. I could have done much more also because they were buying anyway for 4 crore. But our pricing policy told only 1.1 crore. So this was event in 1990. So after 1990, the company, although it's a PSU, are buying still as per today also they are buying this item from me, and they are and we the Pyrotech has a very high regard in them, and with them we have completed nearly 340 power stations in India. So you build trust or you build money. Better go for the first option. You always build trust. The second will automatically follow. The second point was friendly with vendors. So you have to be always friendly with vendors. This I learned when we were doing business with PI Industries long back. So you have to give due importance to your vendors. They are just like your friend and a business partner. Without them, the supply chain is not complete. So educate them, be reasonable, give them a reasonable profit, and don't squeeze them. That is, you help them so as to create a win-win situation. Third is, you treat your employees like your younger brother, and particularly telling younger brother, because when the younger brother knows, sometimes you give him due love, sometimes you scold him, sometimes you help him in giving some money. So the attitude when you deal with your working person or with your employee has to be like your younger brother, and you have to regard their feelings and you have to give them appropriate attention whenever they come. So hear them with patience, that is important, and patiently then solve their problems. With this little idea, we tried with our 4,000 odd persons employed with us, and for last 35 years there is not a single man-day lost due to strike. So that amounts to about 2.5 crores of man-days work without any strike. We don't have any union in our all 9 companies, and many times union persons comes to me and then I explain them the integrity. So still there is no union in Pyrotech and Tempsens workshops. The fourth thing is, which is important, is you have to be innovative. You have to create new products, you have to design new products, you have to be in touch with the industry, with the technology. So that is very important, and you have to suitably invest for R&D and innovation. In short, we have developed about 25 ranges of products amounting to about 100 different products. Most of them are doing very well. And some products which we started with thermocouples, we are selling to glass industry, and half of the world is taking from us. Similarly, we developed optical pyrometers, we developed special LED lights for industry, and lastly we developed just now closed door MCC panels, which are basically development for public sector undertaking NTPC operation. So keep on learning, and age is no bar for learning. So innovation is a very important thing. Then lastly, but not least, was the CSR. Whatever you have taken from the society, you have to give back. Apart from small financial and monetary givings, we give training to the engineering students and management students. So every year, for the last 25 years, to 26 years, we are giving training to more than 100 students every year. So in summers as well as in winter. So the biggest advantage of this training is that wherever we go, we find our persons trained and our persons. So they are our brand ambassadors in those factories. So this is a small message I want to give to our young entrepreneurs. That is, you have to start slow, in a low profile, with clear vision, long-term approach. Form a understanding group of 3 to 4 persons. Take fast decisions. Don't linger on them. And correct wrong decisions fast. So taking wrong decisions, correct it. So this is my to our young persons. And there is no substitute to honesty and hard work. There is nothing like luck. You have to hard work and you have to be honest. Producing quality goods and services will give you a competitive edge. I also believe an extraordinary man puts only 10% extra efforts than an ordinary man. So if you want to distribute, you have to just put 10% extra effort. So become extraordinary just by putting a little more effort. Years on years, and you become 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. In the end, I once again thank UCCI for bestowing this prestigious award, and I also congratulate the recipients of various awards which just have taken place just before me. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You truly are an inspiration for all of us. Now, I would like to request Shri B.H. Bapna, patron UCCI, and Shri Sanjay Singhal, President UCCI, to please present our guests with memento as an expression of our gratitude for their presence today. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Anshu Kothari, Senior Vice President, UCCI, to please deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. A lot of shivering around, looking forward to an end. But see, when I start, let me congratulate everybody who won something today. But it's a foundation day, and I'll start with my gratitude to the founder, President P.P. Zinc, who enriched and started this journey, which carried on for about 58 years, and this is the shape today. I would gratitude the past presidents, past patron Shri Singhal, today patron Shri V.H. Bafna, to actually patronize it in the way when you were very busy and you were very young and you had this institution to carry forward, you gave all your time and sometimes money and sometimes energy and vision. I would now give a lot of thanks to our chief guest, who made us realize that smaller mistakes can lead a country or a party to lose a magnum of mistakes. See, we read word as an instance. This happened there, this happened there. Today when I was listening to Shekharji, I realized, oh, is that virtually that you have to look into. This is the 4D approach, which as a listener, which I came to know, I think I started looking at politics in a different manner. It is educated. Very, very much thanks to you for enriching us. That feel of Pakistan-India came in, that is always there in Indians. So that is, thank you for that also. And now I would like to tell सलील सर को तो मैं किस के लिए थैंक यू बोलूँ. आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा कि हर वक्त आप यहाँ होते हैं, आपको पर अगर दिल्ली में हमें माइनिंग में मदद चाहिए, हमें एरोस्पेस में मदद चाहिए, हमें मिनिस्ट्री में मदद चाहिए, हमें पीएमओ में मदद चाहिए, हमें एयरक्राफ्ट में हम गेस्ट को लेने जाते हैं और वहाँ भूल जाते हैं तो मदद चाहिए. सलील सिंघल साहब एज ए प्रोन पैट्रन, ही इज ऑलवेज देयर. ही हैड बीन आवर पास्ट प्रेसिडेंट ऑल्सो. आज आपने शेखर जी के लिए ज़्यादा नहीं बोला होते हुए, परंतु आपकी इकोनॉमिक स्पीच हमने सुनी है और पूरा वर्ल्ड जानता है कि सलील भाई साहब himself is a very well learned and he says he's good at listening and is good at networking. That truly helped, and thank you for being that level of connect to us for UCCI always. So if I don't mind if that is too many singles around. Thank you, our President, Sanjay Singhal. I would name that there's one unique quality in this gentleman, that he decides today on some action and probably does not look that messy or big or magnum. But let me tell you, as 7 months passed and they started yielding results, I can say that his vision is do concrete, but do be prepared for future also. So most of his actions will yield results when the days are complete. Thank you for giving that vision to UCCI. My senior vice president, Anshu, our vice president, Aditya, our secretary general, Manish, our treasurer, Shri, all executive members who are present here, all UCCI members who are present here, and especially because it was an award day, I would not forget our standing committee and the chairman, Mr. Babu Babi, who made this. I mean, he initiated, he was the second chairman when this thing started after ArcGate took it over, and then it proceeded. I would especially like to mention about Mr. Godha. He is deliberately married to this excellence journey. I mean, through and through, and this Godha family, I mean, Manish, are you there? let me tell you, he does not even carry the deciding part of it. He has a great vision for it. Thank you for being there. If I did not take the name of PST sir, definitely he had been a president, he had been a mentor, but something which is very true about him is, even today, when there's some infrastructure development that is taking on, you would find PST being followed by the team, whosoever is supplying him. He desperately comes here, leads every team, and is physically present. So thank you so much, PST sir. Where are you? Oh, yeah. Now, when Sanjay Bhai sir was talking about the factory deco catching up, definitely young people have started joining it, and every time we are finding newer people and coming in. So thank you for those people who have helped us, especially the Pyrotech space and Sanjay Raka's GG Walls. But we'll be going to more companies, so all those companies I welcome, and please help UCCI, the motive that we want to train you all and learn from all of you. When it's media, the whole Udaipur knows about UCCI. How can I list when there's a newspaper here, there's a media here, there are people here. The people who are our backbone is our executive director, our CEO, Karan Shatawat, Asit, Sharvil, Sakshi, Ashish, and more people who are backbone. Everybody who worked day and night. Let me tell you, they did not sleep last night. They were all looking forward to say that this goes uninterrupted, which it did. So thank you very much for being there and helping us contribute. So with this, I think it's time that everybody is looking forward to. We'll assemble here for a group photograph with all the winners, and after that we'll all proceed for lunch in the gardens around. Thank you so much.